From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. First, the headlines. Stories from Canadian Muslims reveal Islamophobia is systematic and normalized. 5 years later, families separated under Trump's Muslim ban are begging Biden for help. Israel bars entry of warm clothes into unheated cells of Palestinian detainees. U.S. warns Americans about traveling to UAE, citing drone attacks. Books on Ottoman Empire gaining popularity in Bangladesh. And our top story tonight, Islamic Relief Canada has released a new report shedding light on how everyday Islamophobia affects Canadian Muslims. The timing of its release coincides with the 5th anniversary of the Quebec City Mosque Massacre and the National Day of Action Against Islamophobia tomorrow. The report features untold, compelling stories from Muslims across the country and from all walks of life. Some examples include a teacher in Quebec who was asked to remove her hijab in the workplace and almost lost her job for not complying. A man who temporarily stopped participating in organized sports in Alberta after experiencing racial slurs and discrimination. A hijab-wearing Ontario woman who was physically and verbally attacked on a university campus for being Muslim. Among the key findings from the report are that Islamophobia is not only systematic and normalized, but also gendered, with Muslim women disproportionately being victimized. A victim of the Quebec mosque shooting, Ayman Dirbali, who was shot 7 times and left paralyzed and unable to support his family. Here is Ayman Dirbali speaking to Muslim Network TV, sharing his personal account of the Quebec City shooting massacre.
I saw the terrorist entering and he started shooting, and we heard a lot of screams and people. Some of them, the brothers were shot and they were screaming. And I was the closest one to the shooter, to the attacker. I was staring at him in order to draw his attention to my direction. This is to prevent other people from being shot. And for a while, he started shooting in my direction many times. And upon we heard that he stopped firing for a while, and at that moment I decided to jump and to run toward him in order to stop him. And the first bullet he shot me, I received the first bullet on my leg. It was very painful, but I continued. I struggled to continue, and then he shot me twice on my abdomen, and I felt for a moment, and I tried to stand up and to continue. So I tried 3 times to stop him, and that's why he shot me 7 times. I received 7 bullets.
A special segment is coming up later tonight on our show. Keep watching Muslim News. ABC News is kicking off Black History Month by airing a deep dive into the assassination of Malcolm X. Malcolm X, also known as Al-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, was a renowned Muslim leader in the struggle for Black liberation. He was assassinated in 1965. ABC's 1-hour special on Thursday will focus on the exoneration of the man wrongfully convicted of killing him, Muhammad Abdul Aziz. The special, titled Soul of a Nation, presents Exonerated, the Murder of Malcolm X and 55 Years to Justice. Will feature the first TV interview with Aziz since his exoneration. ABC News Nightline co-anchor Brian Pitts will interview key figures. The primetime documentary retraces Malcolm X's assassination, Aziz's decades behind bars and on parole, as well as the devastating impact on his family. It will include interviews with Malcolm X's daughter, Ilyasa Shabazz, and the children of the late Khalil Islam, who was also wrongfully convicted for the assassination and posthumously exonerated. Exonerated airs at 9 p.m. EST next Thursday. Nasser al-Mughnahi wanted to live with his wife and 3 daughters under one roof. But the 32-year-old bodega owner and U.S. citizen from New York has been in immigration limbo since 2010. That's when al-Mughnahi first filed for a visa for his wife in Yemen. It took al-Mughnahi nearly 6 years to secure his wife, al-Khair al-Azzar, an interview at a U.S. consulate. But soon after former President Donald Trump was elected, he quickly instated a ban on travel to the U.S. from several Muslim-majority countries, including Yemen. Families like al-Mughnahi are still dealing with the aftermath of Trump's policy. While President Joe Biden rescinded the final version of the ban on his first day in office, many families have not yet been reunited, including al-Mughnahi. Last week, more than 100 organizations sent a letter to the Biden administration urging it to do more to relieve ongoing family separation, delays, and a visa backlog. The University of Michigan's LSA student government passed 2 resolutions intended to create a more accepting environment for the Muslim community on campus. One resolution calls for condemning the global rise of Islamophobia, and the other supports a bidet initiative to make public restrooms more accommodating. The need to address Islamophobia on campus was prompted by an incident involving a copy of the Quran being damaged at Arizona State University. Bilal Irfan, a student government representative and freshman, said that the resolution aims to break the global pattern of Islamophobia, starting in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Islamophobia Working Group was established in 2016 to address the issue in the University of Michigan's community and nationwide. It aims to create a safe environment for Arab, Muslim, and Middle Eastern and North African students. Suburban Detroit's Sterling Heights Planning Commission unanimously approved the American Muslim Diversity Association's plan to expand its building and parking lot. The commission granted a special use permit to build a gym, banquet hall, classrooms, and a separate prayer space for women who currently pray in the masjid. The Sterling Heights Zoning Board of Appeals granted a variance for a new parking lot in September. Amy Ducore, staff attorney for the Council on American Islamic Relations Michigan chapter, said there was great hostility towards any expansion or inclusion of the Muslim community and their places of worship within the city. In 2016, the American Islamic Community Center was denied its bid to build a large mosque in Sterling Heights after community pushback. The group sued the city in response, as did the Department of Justice. Both lawsuits were settled in favor of the center. Palestinian detainees in Israeli jails are suffering from the cold due to a lack of heating and authorities blocking donations of winter clothes. Detainees suffer from shortages of clothes, blankets, and a lack of heating, said the Commission of Detainees and Ex-Detainees Affairs on Thursday. Israeli authorities hindered and restricted the entry of cold weather clothing and blankets to inmates, the group said. It added that Israel's inhumane policy is part of a systematic effort to erode Palestinian detainees' determination and resilience. The statement demanded international human rights groups intervene to help Palestinian detainees. Bringing more news stories after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Friends, our world is pulling together like never before. We're making huge sacrifices to keep one another safe. Scientists are working non-stop to develop COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. A vaccine will get our economies moving. It will tell our loved ones we're safe again. But we have challenges we must address. Right now, huge pharmaceutical companies are keeping the vaccine research a secret. They're deciding how many vaccines get made, how much to charge for them, and who gets vaccinated. This will no doubt leave billions of people behind. Pharma companies are putting profit, not people, first. Yet, billions of dollars of taxpayers' money is funding their work. We cannot let the CEOs of a handful of pharmaceutical companies decide our future. We need a vaccine that everyone can have free of charge, no matter where you live or whether you're rich or you're poor. We need companies to share all their research so we can make enough safe vaccines for everyone. We need a vaccine owned by all of us. To end this COVID-19 pandemic, we need to pull together once more.
Welcome back. A cold snap, which has already caused major disruption in Athens and Istanbul, now saw heavy snowfall in areas better known for their summer heat. In the alleyways of Jerusalem's walled old city, children pelted each other with slushy snowballs after the first flakes fell late on Wednesday. By morning, snow crowned the golden dome of the rock in the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, Islam's third holiest site. It also carpeted the esplanade in front of the Western Wall, the holiest site where Jews pray. Israel's weather service reported that between 6 and 10 inches of snow had fallen overnight. In neighboring Jordan, heavy snowfall closed roads in the capital Amman and made driving conditions treacherous across much of the country. And Egypt recorded its coldest winter in a decade, with temperatures as much as 7 to 8 degrees below the seasonal average. The U.S. Department of State is warning Americans against traveling to the United Arab Emirates. Its latest travel advisory for the Gulf country warns of the threat of missile or drone attacks. Abu Dhabi said Monday it intercepted 2 ballistic missiles fired by Yemen's Houthi rebels towards its territory. The attack was the second on UAE soil. Last week's strike hit a fuel depot in the capital, killing 3 people and causing a fire near Abu Dhabi's international airport. The Houthis, who overran much of Yemen in 2014, regularly carry out rocket and drone attacks on Saudi Arabia. The attacks are in retaliation for the Saudi-led coalition assault on Yemen. Saudi Arabia's King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud on Thursday issued a royal decree to observe February 22nd as Founding Day. It commemorates the start of the reign of Imam Muhammad bin Saud and marks the founding of the first Saudi state in 1727, the Saudi press agency said. Founding Day will be an official holiday. Saudi Arabia celebrates its National Day every year on September 23rd. It marks the establishment of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1932. Bathed in the crisp morning light, Sidra Hussain grips a cooler stacked with glistening vials of polio vaccine in northwest Pakistan. Hussain and her partner go door to door on the outskirts of Mardan city, dripping bitter doses of rose-colored medicine into infants' mouths on the eve of a major milestone. Pakistan's anti-polio drive recorded the last infection of the wild polio virus on January 27, 2021, according to officials. Friday marks the first time in Pakistan's history that a year has passed with no new cases. To formally eradicate the disease, a nation must be polio-free for 3 consecutive years. Since the Taliban takeover of neighboring Afghanistan, the Pakistani arm of the movement has become emboldened, and its fighters frequently target polio teams. Pakistan and Afghanistan are the only countries in the world where the disease is still endemic. Denmark announced Thursday it would withdraw a newly deployed contingent of 100 soldiers from Mali after repeated demands. Copenhagen denounced Mali's demands for withdrawal as a political game by the military junta. Danish soldiers arrived in Mali this month to join European special forces supporting anti-insurgent operations. Mali's military junta, which came into power in a coup in August 2020, first asked Denmark to withdraw the forces on Monday. Malians believe their departure is a good thing, but are now waiting to see the consequences of the deployment of the Takuba force to the territory. The Danish army issued a statement saying the withdrawal would take place as soon as possible, but it's likely it would take several weeks to bring home the soldiers. Books on the Ottoman Empire are flying off the shelves in Bangladesh amongst growing interest in Islamic history and culture of the Golden Era, booksellers and publishers say. In its heyday, the Ottoman Empire spread from Budapest in the north to Mecca in the south, Baghdad in the west, and Algiers in the east. On the foundation day of the Ottoman Empire marked on January 27, booksellers in the capital Dhaka shared the best-selling titles. One of the most popular books is The Ottoman Empire, written by Ali Muhammad Salabi, they said. A translated copy of the book was published in 2019, and within a span of 2 years, the 7th edition is being circulated in bookstores across Bangladesh. In remarks delivered on Martin Luther King Day last Monday, the Presbyterian Church USA's Reverend J. Herbert Nelson II called the continued occupation in Palestine 21st century slavery. He said the United States of America must be a major influencer of calling this injustice both immoral and intolerable. He also called on the Jewish community in the United States to influence the call to join the U.S. government in ending the immoral enslavement. Unhappy with Reverend Nelson's words, the Conference of Presidents of the major American Jewish organizations called his words anti-Semitic. They also criticized the Presbyterian Church's American branch for its record of activism for Palestine. In 2014, it voted to divest church funds from companies profiting from the colonization of Palestine. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment on the 5th anniversary of the Quebec City Mosque Massacre. So stay tuned and we will be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs,
and that's still not enough to put food on the table.
I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. Canadian Muslim News showcased a special segment regarding the 5th anniversary of the Quebec City Mosque Massacre. Let's watch.
Tomorrow is the National Day of Remembrance of the Quebec City Mosque attack and action against Islamophobia. It's a story that brings a lot of distress to people, so if you feel distressed during this show, we recommend that you stop, or if need to, you can call the hotline 1866-NASISA that is showing Nasiha, and we'll put it in the show description as well. On this day that we're commemorating, it's now 5 years, when a shooter walked into a mosque in Quebec City, killing 6 and injuring 5. The 6 who passed away were Ibrahim Barry, Mahmoudou Tanu Barry, Khaled Belkacemi, Abu Bakr Thabti, Abdul Karim Hassan, and Azadin Soufiane. Today we have with us an Imam, Hassan Qiye, to ask him about the memories of that day. Welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. Now, I am not in Quebec, and I'm just reading the names of those who passed away, and I'm actually almost crying. How was it for you to have to lead the tribute for the victims on that day 5 years ago?
It was and still, and it will be forever, a very terrible experience. It's 5 years ago, but for me, it's like it's happening today. I can never forget the sorrow and the anger and the surprise. We lived through that day, the ordeal. Nobody of us wanted to believe that it's happening here in Quebec or in Canada. So it's still a terrible memory and a terrible life experience. And regardless of what we say, regardless of what we do, none of us can bring back to a widow her fallen husband, or to an orphan his or her fallen father. But we have a duty of remembering these people and keeping their memory and their legacy alive.
You are an Imam, I believe, in Montreal, and the shooting happened in Quebec. How was it that you were brought into the funeral?
It happened, and I was selected to be the Imam. I was called by the brothers who are responsible for the mosque in Quebec City to bear that burden, which was very, very terrible burden. Maybe due to my skills of communications, or maybe my knowledge of the 3 languages, Arabic, French, and English, because these are the languages I spoke in the funeral. Or maybe it's just a decision of God, Allahu Alam. But it was a very, very difficult burden. And I hope that I did what I could in a way to serve the community, and in a way to pay tribute and to honor the victim, and to help healing the wounds of the families.
Do you remember any particular message that you shared on that day?
There was a lot of messages, and many of them were circulated around the world, because it was very internationally broadcast, that message. First, that we as citizens, we are citizens like everybody else in this country. We have the same duties, the same like everybody else, and we have the same rights like everybody else. And for sure, I pay the tribute to the victims. And in that speech, the same thing, I insisted that the killer himself is not the only responsible for the killing. There was the media, the certain politicians, the hate propaganda machine that was working to split the country and to incite people to hate each other. And the hatred they were propagating led to the bloodshed in the mosque. So instead of concentrating on the killer himself only, we should look beyond, and we should stop the hate machine.
I remember that the Prime Minister, I believe, attended the funeral, and there were candlelight vigils, an outpouring of support. Did that help with the grieving process for the victims?
It was a combination of things. I still remember it was the biggest crowd I had in my sermons, and I've been imam for a long time. In the hall, we were around 6,000 people, including the Prime Minister of Canada, the Prime Minister of Quebec, many members of cabinet, including Ahmed Hussein, who was the Minister of Immigration at the time, many ministers from Quebec, many members of the House of Commons, the Quebec Assembly of Quebec, the National Assembly of Quebec, media. Definitely this support, this solidarity helped. And the vigil, as you are saying, the vigil around the country, not only in Quebec, it helped. And during these 5 years, we keep receiving messages of support and solidarity. Yes, it helps, but we are seeing a lot of solidarity, a lot of nice words, nice speeches, but we need actions. We need actions to stop hatred, to stop Islamophobia, and to stop discrimination, and to protect citizens in this country, because as you said, we are citizens like everybody else, and we deserve to have our place under the sun. We deserve to have a place on this earth because we are members of this society, and this society is our society.
And this might be a bit of a silly question. I'm sure as an imam, you've led tons of funerals, janazas as we call them. Did you feel especially nervous to have the Prime Minister and members of Parliament and the media and 6,000 people there?
It might be naive what I will say. The only audiences I thought about were the 17 orphans and 6 widows who were with the crowd. I didn't think about Mr. Trudeau or Mr. Couillard or anybody else. My attention was toward the families and many of our brothers and sisters who were in the crowd, who were in the mosque at the time of the killing. Especially, I said some words which were very, very heavy, very loud when I said that the killer himself is a victim. So some people might misunderstood what I said. They might have thought that I'm equating the victims with the killer, which was not the case. I was just saying the same way our martyrs, our shaheed, were victims of the bullet of that killer. The killer himself was a victim of the words and the hate propaganda he was subjugated to, who transformed him from being a teenager to be a killer. And at the same time, he stole the lives of our brothers and the lives of our sisters. He stole the life of his parents as well, and he destroyed his life and the life of his parents.
You said that you hoped that your words helped alleviate some of the burden and with the healing. How are the families doing now, 5 years later?
Well, they are going about their lives. As I said, nothing will replace a fallen husband or a fallen father. Definitely the memory of the fallen victims, the shaheed, will remain. But nevertheless, lives continue. So that the orphans were very young at the time, they are growing. I know some of them, one of them is lawyer, another is administrator, another one. So the ones who were teenagers at the time, now they are young adults and they're working, they're building their lives. Some of them are getting married. The ones who were very young at the time, I remember I visited the families at the time. There were some boys, some children who were 1 year or 2 years old. So now the one who was 1 year old now is 6 years old.
And unfortunately, we have to leave it there. But thank you very much. I can't imagine what it's like to have to talk about this over and over again. But we thank you for your graciousness in coming, and we pray that God helps the families and gives ease to those in the grave. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And please, everybody, keep our martyrs in your prayer and your dua. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
That's all from our Washington studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.